John Kovach, GardenStateHSWrestling.com. We are at the Garden State Wrestling Prospects Camp at St. Joseph High School in Metuchen. We're sitting down with Anthony Verdi. He's the head coach at St. Peter's Prep in Jersey City. Coach, thanks for taking some time out of the gym. What are you seeing out there on the mats that's catching your eye?
I see a lot of young kids that are working hard. That are, there's a lot of talented youth in New Jersey. It's nice to see them in August at these clinics. One of the couple of reasons why they're here. One is obviously to get great instruction. The coaches that are running these clinics are some of the best coaches around. I see Ross Gittimer in there from Blair. It's an opportunity for these kids to get some great teaching, and also the other reason why they're here is they're going to be coming up to a big decision soon and deciding where they want to go to high school, and you have representation from some of the best high school programs and coaches in the state here, so it's a good way to get eyes on them.
Is it important and maybe even more so convenient for you to have all of this talent and potential wrestlers who would attend your school under one roof, and you got a couple of days in the summer you can come in and have some FaceTime with them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's nice to see them because, some of them, it gets difficult to see them wrestle during the season. And on the youth level, these guys travel so much. So to see them, I think in a practice setting is really important for high school coaches, depending on what they're looking for.
What is the difference in between you as a high school coach? Say you take a free Sunday and you go to see a youth tournament and see younger wrestlers in the tournament setting, as opposed to, like you just said, seeing them in what really is a practice setting. This is a grind out here. There's some people in the state, there's no fans, there's no there's no scoreboard, there's no team score. You're just out there working hard trying to catch somebody's eye. What is the difference for you as a coach between seeing somebody in a match versus seeing somebody in a practice setting?
Well, seeing somebody in a match, seeing these guys compete in their 4.5 minute matches, you get to see sort of a limited scope of what they could do, and obviously you get to see what type of competitor they are. And they're going to make mistakes. They're young, and they're going to improve. So I don't put as much weight into those matches at that level. Really, just looking at how do they compete. Some technical things, but really how they carry themselves in a match, body language, whether winning or losing, their coachability in the corner, things like that. In my opinion, it's a lot more, I think you get a lot more out of it seeing them in a setting like this, because you can really see their focus and attention and the effort that they're putting into practice. And in high school, when they get to high school, they're going to start realizing that that time that they're in practice, that hour and a half, 2 hours, is extremely important. And it's not just about being there, it's about what you're putting into the practice. So to see all of those things that I mentioned, like their body language and their, the way that they respond to the coaches in a practice setting, is just as important, if not more important, than in a competitive situation.
That's what I'm thinking, having been a coach not of wrestling but in other sports at the high school and the youth level. For you, is the coachability more on display here in what's essentially a practice?
Yeah, absolutely. I think all the coaching is done in practice. You see wrestling coaches at any level in the corners giving instructions and yelling to their athlete on the mat, and they're probably hearing 25% of what you're saying because of the noise and the intensity of it, and headgear and things like that.
You're generous with 25%.
Yeah, 25% is a lot. But in practice, really where the coaching comes from in practice, how they are performing in a match is really a result of what they're doing in practice.
How about technical skill? Do you see a better level of technical wrestling from wrestlers who choose to attend something such as this and get the extra training?
Yeah, but I think with any progression in technique, it comes with repetition. So, kids could go to camps all the time and see some of the world's best and country's best clinicians and learn something. But if there's no repetition in that, they're not going to pick it up. You have to do something 10,000 times, right, in order to master it or at least get close to it. So picking something up in a clinic is great, but if to continue doing that after you leave that clinic, I think is the most important thing about attending those clinics. And for their age, it's always a learning process. So the more you learn, the better. And again, they can learn 1,000 techniques and perfect none, and it really doesn't. It's not going to translate.
Do you find it helps sometimes, and I think I'm getting away from where, to have the kids who wrestle for you go to a camp and hear another coach from another program tell them the same things that you tell them? I know that when I coached, I found out, oh yeah, so-and-so from such and such told me the same thing at a camp the other day. And it kind of validates what you're telling them.
Yeah, there's two things. I think there's the validation of what you're already teaching them. If they see it from somebody else, absolutely. I think that's really important, and especially because a lot of the younger athletes, they all learn very differently. I also think that they all have very different styles, and what works for one may not work for another. So they may pick something up from a different coach that is transferable to what you're doing, and it may work better for them than it does for your other athletes in your room. So I think it's really important. The more they expose themselves to other coaches, but then there's obviously an issue of like too many hands in the pot, right? So I think if they know how to balance that, or if you can teach them how to balance it, like you picked up a specific technique that works for you, let's work on it in the room, fine. So I think exposure to different techniques and different coaches is good.
Let's leapfrog fall, look ahead to winter. How do the St. Peter's Marauders look this year?
We return a big senior class. We return a lot of starters. We graduated only 3 last year of our starters. And we have some things to work out as far as our weight classes. Kids will separate, and we're going to put together a pretty well balanced lineup. I think we're going to be very competitive on state level, and we have a good national schedule as well. So it's going to be a fun year, I think.
Fair amount of national talent out there on the mats right now. What does the turnout of wrestlers here tell you about the health of wrestling as a sport in the state of New Jersey?
I think it's very healthy in New Jersey. I mean, not only the boys, but the girls as well. The girls' wrestling programs in the state are just growing every year, which is great for both. I think the club rooms are getting bigger. I think, which is on a youth level, which is helpful for a high school level. I've been to different parts of the country with high school wrestling, and seeing how New Jersey is, extremely competitive with other states in the country, and it's because of that. And it's because of the growth of club wrestling, youth wrestling. I think we need to get more involvement and more bigger numbers on the rec level to get more kids introduced to the sport at a younger age. But other than that, I think I think New Jersey wrestling is in a good place.
Are you seeing a better level and a more experienced wrestler coming in now as opposed to a few years ago?
Yeah, I think the last few years you're seeing more kids with more national competition with the last maybe decade or so, with the more of these national dual meet tournaments for elementary and middle school kids, and parents that are willing to take them different places in the country to get that national exposure. It's great for high school programs that do compete on with a national schedule, that go to the big tournaments and wrestle out of state teams, because it brings in a little bit of a comfortability with the students coming in as freshmen. So I think they're a little bit more prepared, but they're still not fully prepared for the high school level yet. There's still some X factors that they're not prepared for. So there's still a learning curve.
All right, Anthony Verdi, head coach of St. Peter's Prep. Thanks for joining us on GardenStateHSWrestling.com.